60 Minutes with Angela starts right now.
Listen to this quote: in the end, execution is everything. Execution is about excellence, and excellence is not by luck. You plan for it. End of quote. Well, hello and welcome to the program. I'm Angela AGENMONMEN. They describe my host today as a consummate marketing man with a track record of having successfully managed some of Nigeria's major iconic brands. He has spent most of his marketing career with Nigerian Breweries PLC, a company he joined in February 1984. At NBL, he led the marketing teams that have built the power beer brands. And today he is the president of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria, having retired as the senior strategy manager from Nigerian Breweries. Tony AGENMONMEN joins me on the program today. Thank you, Mr. AGENMONMEN, for coming on the program. I hope I got all the information about you.
Correct.
Correct. You know, I've been wanting to interview you since you got elected as the president of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. You're also the chairman of the council in that institute. So your becoming president, I thought, was probably a natural progression, given that you were the first vice president just before then. Am I right in thinking that?
No, you are not exactly correct, because the structure we have in the institute is every position is elective. So there's no natural transition from being the first vice president to being the president. You have to stand election on your own.
Yes.
And then win the election. So in 2016, Ibadan stood for the election of the presidency, and I won the election.
All right. So what exactly does the NIMN do?
Well, the NIMN is a body established by an Act of Parliament, Act 25 of 2003, to regulate the practice of marketing in Nigeria. So it's the sole body empowered to regulate the practice of marketing.
Yes.
Basically, I think the framers of the Act wanted the profession of marketing to be properly handled, so that those who are practicing marketing are actual professionals.
Yes.
And they adhere strictly to the ethics of the profession.
Okay, so you regulate each other?
No, we regulate all marketing practitioners.
Okay.
What the Act says is that anybody who wants to practice marketing or is practicing marketing must be registered with the institute.
Okay.
So in doing that, you have to meet certain criteria before you can be registered.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question. How can I become a marketer or join the marketing profession? What do I need to study?
The way it is, you can study anything. I mean, we've had engineers who became great marketers, we've had philosophers, we've had historians who became great marketers.
Yes.
But basically, if you now want to have the professional certification, then we look at your background in terms of what you studied, in terms of your current practice, what job are you doing. Based on that, we'll determine at the level at which you come in and the kind of examinations you need to take.
Okay.
But if you reach certain level, I mean, if you're already a marketing director in a blue chip company, and for one reason or the other you are not in a road, we're not going to take you through such strong rigors.
Okay. So who is a marketer? How would you define a marketer?
A marketer will be somebody who understands the brand and understands the consumer and is able to connect the brands to the consumer.
Understands the brand and the consumer.
And is able to connect the brand to the consumer.
Okay. I know that the Institute is relatively young. We said established by an Act of Parliament in 2003, July to be precise. So before then, who regulated the practice of marketing in Nigeria?
Before then, there was nobody who said that regulated the practice of marketing. What you had were marketing associations.
Yes.
They were just like social clubs, or the marketing could put themselves together, but they didn't have any force of law
Yes.
that backed them up. It was just like, okay, colleagues in marketing go together and say, how can we move the profession forward? But so before then, there was really no organization that could say was regulating the practice of marketing.
Okay. After your election in 2016, I read something about marketers celebrating a peaceful democratic transition to your executive. Why were they celebrating? Was it that it had been impossible to achieve that seamless transition?
Okay, since 2003, when the Institute was formally established by the Act of Parliament, we've had our challenges. At some point in time, we had different factions that were contending to be the main body to have the right to regulate.
Yes.
But what has happened is that along the line, all the marketing professionals have come together and we have put all that factionalization behind.
Yes.
And so we had a president before me, and then after the election, I won, and then there was a peaceful transfer of power, if you want to use that common language.
Yes.
And it went very smoothly. So that's why people are celebrating it, because the years of bickering and infighting were put behind us.
At the 8th annual general meeting of the Institute this February 2018, the Institute says they will or they may sanction practitioners who fail to register with the Institute as required by law. So, as much as possible, is this request to register going to be a hostile request? Or, is it mandatory?
First of all, let me say upfront that it is mandatory. But it's not a hostile request.
Okay.
As we have said on different occasions,
Yes.
as much as possible, we want all the marketing organizations and marketing practitioners to understand that it is in the collective interest of all of us that the true marketing practitioners come together and do the right thing. I mean, we provide a lot of values in terms of training opportunities, in terms of networking opportunities for marketing practitioners. I mean, the conference we had in Abuja had the top of the tops of marketing people. I mean, any brand manager who was not there missed an opportunity to interact with the top. So when we say that it is mandatory to register, yes, it is mandatory, because the Act says that anybody who is practicing marketing must register.
Yes.
So what we have done since then is that we have actually now formally compiled the register of our members. That is those who have met all the conditions for membership. So the register has been published. In fact, we have been publishing the newspapers. We also have the booklet which is available, which is a compilation of all the members of the Institute. What we have done is to send that to all the marketing organizations to go through the list and confirm that the marketing practitioners in their company are in the list that we have prepared.
Okay.
If they are not there, then obviously they are in violation of the law, because the law says that everybody must be registered.
Yes.
But like we said, we want voluntary compliance as much as possible. But in the end, if I haven't said that and I haven't given people enough opportunity, enough time, and people fail to comply, then of course the law will apply.
Will there be sanctions for companies, for instance, who continue to deal with people who are not members of the Institute?
The Act, like I said, is an Act of Parliament, it's a law of the Federation of Nigeria. It clearly specifies terms of it ranges from imprisonment to fines for yes, for practitioners and companies who violate the Act as established by the Parliament.
The outgoing president, the one before you, Ganiu Koledui, in his speech, I want to quote him now. He spoke of the lack of professionalism of staff at the Secretariat as a factor directly affecting the performance of the Institute. According to him, all attempts to reorganize and reposition the Institute failed because of overt threats by staff and their collaborators within and outside the council. I'm thinking open threats. So what is the plan going forward? Because I remember that January 2017, Institute workers were aghast at your plan to what you call right size.
Yeah.
I don't know what right size means, but take us through that. How are you handling that? And have you really been able to right size?
Yes, I think we're pretty much done with that now. I mean, with reference to what my predecessor said.
Yes.
I think we had an institute that had quite a bloated size. We had 31 people for a small institute that was not able to pay the salary. So
yes.
I think there was a general agreement that we needed to cut down the number of people who work in that place.
Yes.
But of course, you know that right sizing is never a popular thing anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And even in the big companies, it generates a problem. And the challenge we had then was that, unfortunately, for the people that had to go, we didn't have the money to pay them immediately because the institute at this time is not very buoyant. So I think that generated a little bit of it. But we have been able to talk to them, and we have put that behind us, and the institute is looking forward.
How do you pay the members of the institute? I mean, are you funded by government?
No, unfortunately, we're not funded by government, and I think it's nice that you asked this question because a lot of people get confused. They think that it's a government agency that gets subvention from government.
Yes.
And some people think that because I'm not president, I've become so rich from subvention from government. No, we survive on the subscription of our members.
Yes.
And then, of course, we do get corporate sponsorship for the events that we do. So, and then we run programs, training programs. So those are the kind of things that we do.
Okay, the training programs will generate revenue.
The training programs are not designed for revenue generation.
Okay.
The training programs are meant to enhance the capacity of our members. But of course, they have to pay for it. So we do, of course, make a little bit of margin on it. Yeah.
As well, okay. And operations at the Institute Secretariat had been condemned as needing a 360-degree turnaround. You know, will that be a part of your agenda now as president of the Institute?
Well, if there's anything more than 360 degrees, I think we need it. And I can tell you that we're already on that path. And that's why I told you the first big thing we did was the restructuring, which is almost done with. And then we also had a non-functioning secretariat. If you like, when I mean non-functioning, it's not befitting of the status of our institute. Now we have a brand new secretariat at GRA.
That's Ikeja GRA?
Yes, I definitely find it. It's pretty nice. We're still trying to furnish it, and so we call on all our members who have the money and those who support us to give us a little bit of support in furnishing it to artists. But I can tell you, we are moving in the right direction. And that's why when we had our annual conference in Abuja, I mean, the professionals in the industry who have stayed away for a long time, they are all coming back because now they can see that it's happening.
There's the direction.
Yeah.
Well, how long is your tenure for?
Each tenure is 2 years.
And you're entitled to a second?
Yes, you can go for a second.
Second, not a third, though.
No.
Not third term.
No tenure allocation, yeah.
Okay. You promised at the time you were campaigning to implement to the letter many promises at the time. Can you take us through those campaign promises, some of them at least, and tell us how far you've gone in achieving those?
Yes, I mean, what I did in order to remove campaign from kind of a political promise that you just throw in the air.
Yes.
Is to encapsulate in a little sheet that itemize everything that we're going to do. On top of it, of course, was the restructuring, which I said we have executed. Second was the movement of the secretariat because we didn't have one.
Where was it situated previously?
We were given some 1 or 2 rooms at the offices of the CMD, Center for Management Development at
Magodo. Okay.
Yeah, that's where we've been for a few years now. It was really not something that we could be proud of. So it was one of the key promises we made that we would move there. So by end of last year,
Yes.
we had actually moved to the new secretariat. Then we did promise that in terms of membership data, I mean, it was chaotic. We did promise that we would try to sort that. We're still in the process of doing that. And then, of course, in terms of bringing back one of the key promises
Yes.
that I made then, because one of the things we couldn't achieve because of the factionalization is the formal proclamation of the institute.
Okay.
Because as supervisor, although we are not a government department, we have a supervising minister, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment.
Yes.
We needed him to formally proclaim the institute. And that proclamation means then that the act has now formally come into force.
Has kicked into gear. Yes.
It was part of my campaign promise that my investiture that will be done.
Yes. And has it been done?
It was done on the 17th of February last year.
Yes.
The minister actually did the proclamation. So we're doing a whole lot of things. We're revising and redesigning the syllabus. One of the key challenges which our members also complain of is the recognition of the certificates. We're currently working hard on that with the Ministry of Education and the National Council of Establishment
Yes.
to make sure that our certificates are fully recognized in the scheme of things.
All right. Join us again after the break. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it's 60 Minutes with me, Angela AGENMONMEN. On my hot seat today, Tony AGENMONMEN. He is the president of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria. So, what is the NIMN going to do to rebrand Nigeria's image? Because if we're talking about marketing, we need to market the country.
Yeah, what we have said, I mean, and that's why, if you remember, the theme of our annual conference this year was Marketing Nigeria,
Yes.
where we got a lead speaker, and then we had some distinguished audience from various sectors, sports, entertainment, and we had government representation
Yes.
to discuss the issue of Marketing Nigeria. And what we're saying as marketing practitioners is that Nigeria, I mean, can be treated like a brand. And indeed, Nigeria is a brand.
Yes.
Therefore, if you adopt the methodology that we use in positioning and presenting brands to marketing the country, then we'll go a long way. And what we have done is that we have prepared a summary of the conference proceedings, and we hope at a future date to formally present it to government. So that starts the conversation.
Yes.
Because it's not, marketing Nigeria is not a task for the government alone, it's not a task for the private sector alone, it's not a task for the citizens alone, it's a collaborative effort.
Yes.
And we believe that it can be done, because if you look at the countries that have done well in terms of marketing themselves all over the world, they have adopted a marketing approach. And in this country, we have excellent marketing professionals, and
Yes.
those who can really stand their ground anywhere in the world. And then we have them in our community. There's no reason why we should not tap into their excellence and into their expertise. And we believe they are already willing. The Institute, we have said it to government, and luckily, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Investment was there.
That's Dr. Enelama.
Dr. Enelama was there at the conference. Femi Adesina was also there at the conference, and the conference was being live on television. So we're happy that we're there, so that it's nothing new. So when we present it, we believe that the dialogue will start in terms of the way forward in marketing Nigeria, because we believe that's a lot that can be done. There's so much this country has that we're not talking about, and that is being drowned by the negative things, which of course some people want to highlight.
Yes.
Yeah. But you need to adopt the right approach.
You've spoken about countries that have been successful at this. Can you give us examples of such countries?
And look at India. I don't want to talk about the
Yes.
developed country, but let's look at India.
India.
That's an incredible India.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's-
I mean,
That says it all.
I've been to that country, and I also know their potential. I know that's about the way they represent that country. I mean, you want to go there. Look at Singapore, the way they present the country. Look at Asia, the way they present the whole of the Asian continent.
Yes.
You want to go to those places.
Yes.
Now, coming back to Africa, even South Africa. South Africa, the way it's presented.
Yes.
I mean, the crime in Johannesburg is worse than the crime in Lagos. But people still want to go to Johannesburg. A few people are afraid of coming to Lagos because of the way you present it.
What would be the focus? What would be the narrative in the Institute's opinion, in your opinion, as to the way forward to market Nigeria? What are we going to focus on? Is it on the food, on tourism? What exactly?
You see, we don't want to be preemptive. What you say is that the way we do it in marketing is to sit down, you look at your strength. Where
Yes.
are we strong? Where are we weak? What
Yes.
are the opportunities that we have? So that's why I say it's a collective. We don't want to come up with
impose.
you know it all. I
Yeah.
mean, we have ideas, a few ideas of what can be done.
Yes.
But these are things that we need to sit down and say, okay, these are the key challenges, and every nation faces different challenges. So it can be 10, it can be 20, innumerable. But you must then sit down and say, these are our major challenges. These are our major opportunities. And then by the time you align the opportunities, then you can defeat your challenges and move the country forward. We don't want to dictate. That's why we said we have the summary of our proceedings. We know what we are proposing to the government. I mean, a few of it we already, if you follow the discussion at the conference,
Yes.
a few of it we already budgeted there. But these are things that we need to sit down. Because in sitting down, I mean, it will also involve resourcing, both human and then both financing. Yeah?
Yes.
And the private sector will have to play a key role. And we're ready to play our own part in moving the process forward.
Is it possible for states to be marketed as well?
Of course, if you can market Nigeria, you can market Lagos State.
Yes.
And let's put it, you know what I'm talking about. Marketing is part of our life. I
Yes.
mean, you know this is your program. You know how much you do to marketing.
Yes.
So yes, when we say market Nigeria, we're not talking of marketing the federal government. I think that we should get it right. Marketing Nigeria means marketing Nigeria. And that includes marketing the state, because the tourism potentials in Lagos, for example, are different from what you find in Edo, different from what you find in Katsina. So
Yes.
we have to bring everything together. So it is going to be collaborative, federal, state, local, and private sector, working together to present our country. Because the truth is, if you are saying one thing about Nigeria, right, and one state somewhere is not aligned, and they are doing something that is contrary to damage the brand Nigeria, then you can't move any forward.
Yes.
So it has to be in total.
All encompassing. All right. In my introduction, I quoted something from your book. That's the book. Mr. AGENMONMEN is an author. Excellence is not by luck. Taking charge in challenging moments. That's the book there. I confess that when I started reading this book, I couldn't put it down till I finished. Was that the aim in the style you adopted in writing this book? You wanted something that was unput-downable, for want of a better word to use.
Yeah, let's put it this way. I mean, I try to read a few books.
Yes.
Some books are difficult to read. You read one chapter and then you pray to come back to the next chapter the next day.
Yes.
And then you find that over and over time you never get to read the book and it's just on the shelf.
Yes.
So in writing this book, I said, okay, fine. I should do something that people can enjoy. Although it's a very serious book because it is non-fiction and captures a lot of the things that I've experienced myself.
Yes.
But they should be able to relate to it, and it should be easy for them to read. So in a way, what you said is correct, and I've also warned a few people when they take the book that it's addictive. And you're not the first one. A few other people have called me to say, why did I do this to them? Because when they couldn't jump.
They couldn't stop. All right, so taking charge in challenging moments. Most of your observations, in my opinion, seem to be symptomatic of the narrative here in Nigeria and among Nigerians. The way you've written the book, chapter by chapter, and taking each challenge that you faced in your time in Nigerian breweries. Let's start off with the chapter on 50 Cent, one trouble at a time. I want to quote you now. You say, it was a case of people claiming powers they did not have, end of quote. How were you able to rein in PMAN, that's the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria's yearly demand for levies, which you say eventually petered out to demands made purely out of pride, but naturally lacked bite?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use the word rein in.
Yes.
I mean, in the sense that here we're a corporate organization, we're doing our business the way we have been registered to do it, we're paying all our dues to the government. And we got all our permits to do all the concerts that we're doing.
Yes.
And then before then, like I said in the book, because we're using a lot of Nigerian artists and talents, out of our goodwill, we every year used to support PMAN.
Yes.
Not because there was any compulsion to do so, but because we felt that it was also part of our challenge to develop the industry.
Yes.
But sooner than later, then they turned it into a demand, and not just that they turned it into a demand, became an excessive demand, which were not founded on anything. There was no law that backed it up.
Yes.
I would say, sorry, we can't do that, and I think that's what you said.
Yes. All right. So take us through what transpired at the time, because in the book I've read all the letters, letters of threats from an organization called FIPO, that's Federation of Intellectual Property Owners. The crux of the matter was they were saying for you to bring a foreign artist here to perform, you needed to pay a levy to their organization. On what legal legs did they stand?
That was the key challenge, because if there was a legal leg for them to say we had to pay a certain level, of course we paid. We won't wait for them to remind us. We would have paid it off front.
Yes.
And when you ask them, okay, what's the basis of
what's the
amount we're
criteria?
charging?
Yes.
They just tell you, okay, fine. If you go to Europe, they charge you and so amount. I was okay, fine. And then we ask them every time, why don't you go to either at least Lagos State House of Assembly or the National Assembly and get a law to back up what you're doing? No, it doesn't matter. We have to do it. We are PMAN. I will say, sorry, any money we pay out, there has to be a justification for us to pay out. And that's where we had the logjam. And of course, because PMAN then under my friend Charlie Boy, he was able to mobilize a few of his industry supporters.
Yes.
And there were a few threats here and there. But of course, we are a law-abiding company. And then we had to manage it through the process of making sure that we continue with our concerts without interference.
You referred to him as a friend. Are you still friends today?
Yeah. Charlie Boy is my friend. I mean, there's nothing personal. It's not a personal quarrel.
Yes.
I mean, Charlie Boy is a Nigerian. I mean, he has his own style. Yes, we didn't agree on the style he wanted to adopt, and that's about it. There's nothing
personal about it.
Yeah, there's nothing personal about it.
What would you say to those who always pointed out the discrepancy? For instance, we understand at the time, I remember the rumor that MBL was paying 50 Cent $1 million. And then, you see people like Idris getting angry on the plane with 50 Cent because they felt they were being treated like second-class citizens. 50 Cent was in first class. They were in economy. How do you rationalize that to people who are watching us now?
Okay, let's put it this way. I mean, if we're talking of the areas we're talking about, let's talk about showbiz and entertainment. An artist will be paid for the artist as well. Even in Nigeria today, I mean, we have what you call A-list artists, and then you go down the line. You're not going to pay an A-list artist the same amount you're going to pay an artist that's just upcoming. In any case, at the end of the day, a contract is what you willingly discuss and negotiate.
Yes.
Every artist that we approach, whether it's international or Nigerian, would give you their terms of engagement.
Their price.
Their price. So if your price is 5 million naira or 10 million naira, and we agree and we pay you 10 million naira, and you say, okay, we want all-inclusive, that includes accommodation, transportation, and rest of it, and we'll pay you your 10 million naira. And another artist, say, in the same country,
Tiwa Savage, for instance,
says my price is 50 million.
Yes.
It's for us to say, okay, the artist is worth it or not worth it. If the artist is worth it, then we think really we can pay the 50 million and we negotiate and we agree and we sign the contract. Then the artist is bound by 50 million. You don't come back later if you have given us your own bill for 20 million and
Yes.
say, oh, but you paid just for the purpose of discussion,
Yes.
it was 50 million. You must now come and pay me 50 million. It doesn't work that way. And it has nothing to do with whether it's a foreign artist or it's a Nigerian artist. I think what we're talking about is that every artist goes into a performance engagement with a contract. If you violate the terms of your contract, then you can complain. But if you have willingly, you even gave us the terms and those terms have been signed onto, then I think it's a little bit unprofessional to go spying into what
Somebody
the
else's fee.
next artist is getting, because in any case, most of those figures are wrong.
Why? You mean people hype themselves?
I mean, they hype themselves. Most of those figures are wrong.
Yes.
Because we have a non-disclosure agreement with every artist, so we never go publishing it. I don't know where they get all those fantastic numbers from anyway. But let's even assume the numbers are correct.
Yes.
I don't think it's professionally right to be prying into another artist. The best you can do is that if you think you have been underpricing yourself, the next time, then you up your fee and hope that somebody will actually agree that you are worth that value.
All right. Now let's go on to the lessons to be learned from R. Kelly.
Okay.
There's another artist you brought. His arrest and what you call the seeming aggression of the police towards him. You said it would appear that we at MBL were simply used as fodder in a quarrel between friends. You know, one of the things that my research showed is I always thought R. Kelly was scared of flying. So
I thought so.
I was surprised that he came to Nigeria. How did that go? You know, if you also heard that he was scared to fly, how were you able to achieve bringing him over?
I think there are myths that go around. I think the myth that R. Kelly could not fly or was afraid of flying.
Yes.
I think it was just a myth.
Yes.
I mean, I also got to hear of the fact that he could not fly.
Yes.
But when we got busy, because we knew that it was a big act that we needed to bring, and when we approached him, the question of flying and not flying did not come in at all. So there was no issue about flying. And he flew in here and there was no problem. He didn't have any jet lag or saying I cannot perform because I flew. It was cool.
Yes.
It was cool.
And the problem he had that led to his brief detention, how do you handle that? You know, especially considering the impression that foreigners will have about us, how we do business in our environment and all that. Did that, for instance, affect future negotiations with other American artists coming in?
Not really. I think this was a case of we were caught in the middle because it wasn't really a problem on Nigerian breweries. It was a problem between R. Kelly and I think Arise. Look at Backbone as Arise. I think they had some contract which probably didn't go well. And what happened was that Nduka waited for him when he knew he was coming to Nigeria on the Nigerian Breweries platform to try to execute his contract. And I think they were also kind enough to allow him to at least finish his concert tour, because it would have been terrible if his performance in Lagos and Abuja were disturbed. But it was the morning after that they came for him in the hotel room in Abuja. And it was later on we got to know the details of the relationship between them that went a little bit sour. So it was just that nothing really to do with us. It's for us, it was a little bit of embarrassment, not for us, but for the country, that an international artist like that was arrested. But we thank God that it was resolved and not many people actually knew about it, apart from the fact that I published in my book and a few people who are close enough knew about it.
Yes.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think that that affected international artists coming to Nigeria, because since then many other artists have come. It was a case of a personal relationship, and that went sour, and that can happen anywhere in the world.
One of the funniest chapters I read is the one on Kanye West. You said to get the show going, I think one of Kanye's aides said to you, to get the show going, we need to achieve a minimum of 140 decibels consistently, but we are not getting up to 50. and you ask the question, what the hell is a decibel?
I mean, part of the challenges in our environment is
Yes.
that things can be really, really tough getting things together. Yes, it was true that a few things were not right in terms of getting the equipment together and on time, but we're not in a situation for a council. But what we found was that for reasons today I still don't understand,
Yes.
the technical team of Kanye were so eager to cancel the show. And so they were doing everything to cancel it. So every
Why
night,
do you think they were trying to do that? Are they being paid in full?
no, they get paid. Whether the show is canceled, if the show is cancelled
Yes.
on account that the equipment did not work, it doesn't affect them. They get paid in full. Quite honestly, I still don't know why they wanted to cancel it, because they were the one working to cancel it, whereas Kanye West was not aware. Because like you saw in the book, by
Yes.
the time Kanye was aware, Kanye said, sorry, I'm not going to have a cancel show in Nigeria.
Yes. All right. Join us again after the break. Welcome back. My concluding moments now with Tony AGENMONMEN, President of the National Institute of Marketing of Nigeria and former Senior Strategy Manager with Nigerian Breweries PLC. We're still looking at your book, Excellence is Not by Luck. One of the poignant things that I've picked up from there is, and if you cannot deliver, do not promise.
Very correct.
That's very critical because it made me reevaluate some of the promises I make as well.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Now, the problem we have, I mean, if you look at the country as a whole and your relationship with different companies and
Yes.
different individuals, you find that talk is generally cheap.
Yes.
And everybody wants to make you happy by saying, okay, I will do it. Let's talk about time for the, just even time, basic time. Somebody knows that he or she will not be able to make 5 o'clock p.m., say, for an appointment.
Yes.
And you say, you give them one due time, say 5 o'clock. Is that okay by you? Say, yeah. And 7 o'clock, they're not there. And there's always a reason. And if you now take that to the national scale, people come up with this plan, vision this, vision that, vision that, vision that. And everything is where it is.
Yes.
But if you take it back to a private sector setting,
Yes.
where you have targets and that you must achieve, and at the end of the year you be appraised based on that target, nobody is going to listen to there was traffic, there was flood, there was this, there was that. You just have to be sure that you can deliver. And that's why before you come to a target you set for yourself, be sure that it's realizable. And I think, again, when we're talking about, I don't want to talk about politics, I think our politicians also, that's why they should look at the environment and look at the key points of what they can deliver.
Yes.
Don't promise Nigerians that you put air conditioning everywhere. Don't promise your electorate in the state or local government that you're going to make everybody happy in 2 days when it won't happen. So personally, I believe that when you are coming to set a target for yourself,
Yes.
you must be sure that it's achievable. Yeah, there will be obstacles on the way. At the end, you can only be appraised whether you are successful or not successful.
Yes.
And that's why execution, like I said, matters. So theory is fine, strategy is fine, planning is fine, but at the end of the day, what matters is if you set up all these cameras and everything, you've been preparing for everything, and this your 60 minutes with Angela cannot go on air when it's supposed to go on air. All the planning you have done today is not.
It's failed.
So that's why I say it's very important.
All right. Beyond research, use your common sense. So I want to take you back to that focus group discussion with graduates age 24 to 29. And the young man who said, my name is Johnny. I am actually 36 years old, but I have been briefed to say I am 29.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining, what if you weren't there on that day? The people that would have passed the audition, would they have been the real age 24 to 29?
No. I think that was just an incident. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
I don't really want the essence of what I'm saying about research to be lost in that incident. That happens. To be honest, it happened, and I think it still happens today. But what is important is that no matter how much research you've done, you don't just close your eyes and say, recite, say, and then just start running.
Yes.
You are an experienced marketing person. You should then interrogate the research. Research is a tool. A tool will work for you the way you want to use it. If you use research well,
yes,
even the kind of research we're talking about, even if it was conducted without us detecting somebody falsifying the age, you will still get, an appreciable good result.
Yes.
What commonly happens, let's be honest about it, and since we're talking about marketing, is that a lot of people, what they do is they just want something to cover themselves up to say, okay, it was research that said so.
Yes.
No, research did not say so. It's you that use research to do what you are doing. So you can't blame the research. You have to blame yourself. Because there have been so many examples all over the world where people interrogated research and they say, okay, fine, research says this, but based on this and this and this, we're going to go the
this
alternative
way.
route. And the alternative route went fine. So there have also been situations where people use the research and what the research that they did it very well and boom, they did very well. So it's a tool.
Yes.
It's how you use your tool that determines the result you get.
I'm still talking about the fact that a lot of the things you wrote there is symptomatic of Nigeria's narrative. You say boss is boss, but he's not God.
Yeah.
And talking about the plot to get the managing director of the company to drink Star when he was a golden man.
Yeah.
That tells to my mind the story of Nigeria, how we elevate our superiors at work to the point where we can't even voice positive suggestions and viable alternatives because they are the boss.
I think it's, I don't want to call it the tragedy of our nation, but I think whether in private sector or public sector, I think we had this symptom that you talk about, where the bosses or leaders have become captives, if you like. They are so insulated because they never get to get the truth. And you have managers, you have political appointees who are so timid, I won't say intimidated, because they have decided to be that. More often than not, when you are able to break through that curtain wall, you find that the bosses that they are so scared of are not the human beings that have been tempted. And that is the truth. A lot of the bosses, a lot of the political leaders are not what they are. When you break through, they are not what they are. But when you see their subordinates, like, God, it's like there's another God on earth that you can't see. And that's the problem. The problem is these guys are human beings. And they have just one brain like you have. They also can make mistakes. So sometimes it is important for you to be courageous enough to look your boss in the face and say, boss, can we look at it the other way? I mean, you're not going to abuse him, you're not insulting him, but just say, can we look at it the other way? And you never know how that can change the fortune of your company, your brand, or even your political organization.
And let me take you back to Uromi in Edo State in 2004, Star Trek. You said, spare the boys, spoil their career. That was the chapter. And the disappearing swagger of artists who were to perform in that concert. The interesting thing was that Casey Presh were the most successful product of StarQuest. I'm not sure if that is still the situation today. And yet, you refused them to perform at that concert. Was it a difficult decision to make?
Not at all. I grew up with a background that talks about discipline in everything you do. And beyond that, in professional setup, you have to be disciplined. Everything is time. I mean, cameras, you hire them for a certain time and you pay a fee. Rehearsals, you have to do rehearsals. And that was one lesson I kept telling my friends and colleagues, that there's nothing magic about a great performance. It's about planning, it's about preparation, it's about rehearsals. And that's each time I watch the Michael Jackson, This Is It, which was just a rehearsal, you think this is an actual performance. So basically what we also tried to do was to make sure that all our artists, they come, do sound check, prepare, make sure everything is set. So that
it was compulsory.
It was compulsory. It was compulsory for the good of the artist, because every artist, in fact, any good artist will insist on a sound check, because you want to give the best to your fans.
Yes.
So we had this arrangement that everybody would come and do sound check, but our friends, Casey Fresh, they were nowhere to be found.
They had just won the Star Trek at that time.
I think it was a few years after they had won. I mean, they were more like a baby,
yes,
if you like.
And they were a successful
They were
band
successful.
now.
They are doing well. And,
yes.
And then they didn't turn up and for the rehearsals. And if you don't turn up for rehearsals, how do you go on stage? I mean, you can't guarantee performance. You can play the wrong track. You can. The equipment will not work well. And I just said, no, it's not going to happen. And it wasn't a difficult decision.
I mean,
because it was also not a punishment for them. It was a lesson for them.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I was not going to ban them, but I wanted them to get the shock so that they can learn. And I'm happy that they went on and became superstars thereafter.
Yes.
And we remained friends.
Did you consider the fact that, sometimes maybe the rehearsal wouldn't have mattered? There may be spontaneity in their performance.
No, rehearsal is not about spontaneity. I mean, you can do spontaneity in your performance, but the equipment, you can't be spontaneous about equipment. If you don't test your equipment and lock it the way you want the sound to come out, it's not going to work. So, no matter how good you are, if Michael Jackson, if the big artists you have today, they go on rehearsals before they go on performance, then there must be something in rehearsals
that they're doing.
And I think it's good for our artists who are growing up to understand. And I know a few of our artists, they still jump it, they still miss their shows. That is wrong.
Yes. And what if you know your product is fake?
That's another one.
That's another chapter.
Yeah.
How did NBA start? How did you all handle that aspect? There was a time we were finding these a lot of these major drinks being, bastardized and adulterated and formulated in backyards all over the country. How did you deal with that, and how did you come out of it?
Well, the major way we dealt with it, because before then, all the bottles in the market, if you like, were the same.
Yes.
I mean, the only thing that was different is that when you now put your brand on it, so it was pretty easy for people to exchange bottles. So the major way we could solve that, because we tried police, we tried so many other things, it didn't work. That was why we did the biggest single innovation in Nigeria in terms of cost at that time. It was the single bigger innovation to change the bottle of Star Anadi in the year 2000.
The shape of the bottle.
The shape of the bottle. And I think that did it. And that took the brand to higher levels.
Another level. That quote I read, in the end, execution is everything. It's about excellence. Excellence is not by luck. You plan for it. So how does this explain the great Star relaunch in the face of consumers feeling that the brand left them rather than they left the brand?
Yeah, what we did was very systematic. We had to go back to the consumer to say, what's the problem?
Why are you not drinking
drinking your favorite brand against Star? And then they told us the problem. They told us their challenges. We have this. And that's why we went back into looking at the content of the brand, looking at the packaging. And that's why we did that a lot. And that's why, of course, we also changed the bottle. So if you really want to make an impact, if you really want to succeed as a marketing person, you can't be too far from your consumer. In fact, you have to keep in close touch. You have to understand them every now and then. Because the truth is that, especially in such a world that we're in today, there's so many brand offerings, things are changing, different advertising messages they are bombarded with. For you to connect to be relevant, then you need to keep close to them, and so that if they are moving, then you know why they are moving and bring them back.
Yes. And is reinvention very important in marketing?
It is reinvention. I mean, this is very important. Even as human beings, we reinvent ourselves, we buy new clothes, we do, especially women, you make different hairstyles every day. You're reinventing yourself every day. So for a brand, yes, you might be it. You might be the brand today, but that is not a guarantee that you'll be the brand tomorrow. So you must reinvent yourself to be relevant. Lifestyles are changing. Cultures are changing because boundaries between the worlds are merging. Today, you watch your television, what's happening anywhere in the world, you see it. If there's a new brand launch anywhere in the world, you see it. So the Nigerian consumer is not insulated So
From the
don't think
world, yes.
from the world. So don't think because you wear the brand yesterday, you are guaranteed to be the brand tomorrow. No. That's why you must reinvent yourself. You reinvent yourself not just by sitting down and say, okay, this is what we should do now, but by going back and checking with the consumer, what are the trends? What are their habits? What are their attitudes? Where are they tending to?
Yes.
Then you can try to be ahead of them so that you offer them tomorrow brand today.
What would you say is the single reason why MBL has been so successful in maintaining that leadership status in the industry?
Okay. First of all, I'm a beneficiary. I can tell you, number one is the people. They recruit the very best in the country and then infuse it with some exchange from partners all over the world, and they get good training. I got good training both locally and internationally. So the people is there. And then the culture of innovation. Culture of innovation is very important. And then this drive for excellence, let's put it this way.
Yes.
And the fact that, look, nobody is going to promote you because you are the son or the daughter of so and so. You just have to perform. If you perform, you get a reward. Reward can lead you afar. So if you look, the people, the culture of excellence, and the innovation.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what has kept it going.
Thank you very much, Mr. AGENMONMEN, for coming and spending 60 minutes with me today.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.